Hey there, hey, it is Michelle, your big sis with Brilliant Quest, and today we are doing something needful. Come on in, get your pad and paper because we're going to be talking about the different types of power. This is a primer for you. If you don't understand power, you are going to be powerless. All right, let's get started. So today I'm going to be talking to you not about the 48 Laws of Power by one of my favorite authors, Robert Greene. Check that out. I will be doing a video on that pretty soon because I'm going to show you some of my favorite ones, like Law 32, Law 16. Okay, Michelle, you said you were going to talk about that right now. But anyway, this one is not going to cover Robert Greene's 48 Laws of Power. Instead, I'm going to be going old school, and I am going to be talking about the 5 laws plus 2, because we've updated them, the 5 types of power that were put into not practice, but brought to the forefront by 2 researchers in the late 50s into the 60s when the workforce was booming. And that is going to be John French and I always like this other guy's name, Bertram Raven. Raven, what a wonderful last name. Okay, focus, Michelle. All right, so they came up with these 5 types of power to understand the dynamics in the workforce. And in today's world, we have taken those 5 powers and put 2 more on it to explain how we interact when we're talking person to person, customer to customer, business to business. You know, you've heard B to C, B to B, C to B, all of these different things. And understanding these types of power, and I'm going to be giving you some, examples as well, is going to help you to better navigate. It's going to actually help you to assess what power you're dealing with, what power you're coming in at, and what power you need to switch to get a better outcome. Okay, so hang with me. All right, so here are the laws of power. We have, and I'm going to list them, and then I'm going to go back into each one of them. And I'm reading my notes, y'all. I'm reading my notes. Okay, here we go. So we have legitimate power. Now, legitimate power is when you have a higher position that actually has control over a lower one. It's going to be something like a team lead, a manager. If you're in the natural world, it's going to be a parent to a child. It's going to be an associate to a mentor, different things like that, where there's a hierarchy going on, and it's called legitimate power. The next one, and most people are familiar with this one, even if you didn't know this word that they have given it, it's called coercive power. And this is power where it the person is trying to have authority over you or has authority over you, but they lead with threats and force and even punishment. So this is what we call bullying power. Okay, and that's called coercive. The next one, and this is one that you see a lot, especially in social media, and this one is called expert power. And this is where you have superior skills to joke public, where it's either skills or knowledge. But the thing about expert power is you must always be continuing to make those skills relevant, strong, and in the now. Okay. The next one is informational power. Now, informational power is it's temporary, and it's like it says, it's where you have the needed info for a short-term solution, and it doesn't influence or build any kind of credibility. It's just you have the information that somebody else needs. And one thing I will say about this one before moving on, a lot of people who feel like they are powerless will naturally fall into this informational power getting. It's that person at your job who gatekeeps and keeps all this information to themselves because they feel like this is the only way that they're going to be relevant and that they're going to have any kind of power or say, when that's the least of what's going to happen, because eventually you can be replaced. People can figure out different ways if you won't give up how you do something. So don't fall into that trap. Okay. So the next one, it's going to be reward power. And this one, you are familiar with it. It's the person who is like Oprah, and you get a car and you get a car. This is the power where it motivates by giving you rewards, awards, promotions, bonuses, raises. And again, this one was done to deal with workplace interpersonal relationships. But this one also in the wild, it looks like that rich auntie. It looks like people who appear to have higher status with material things, with reputation, with network, where they can put you on. And in today's world, reward power has become the influencer. Okay, so bear that one in mind. Okay, is this good, y'all? I've covered legitimate. Well, I've mentioned legitimate, coercive, expert, and informational. We got 3 more to go. So come on, like and subscribe, share, and put a comment in there. Let me know. Is this scratching where you're itching? Because this is needful information, and that's why your big sis has got you. And I want to make sure that if nobody else told you, you need to know the rules of the game that's being played out here on you, and that is power. Okay, so all right, the next one after reward, I love this one. Oh my God, I love this one. This one is called connection power. This one is the networking power. This one, of all the ones that you talked about, including expert power, connection power is going to be the most powerful because it is the person who has garnered influence, who has garnered access. They have, out of all of them, they're the ones who have learned how to leverage power because through their connections, they gain favor with people. It's who they know. It's what they can get access to. It's how they can open doors. They are Like if you're really doing it right, instead of trying to have information or even be the expert, focus on being the connector. And then, the other ones will come. But that one has the biggest bang for the buck. Okay. And the next one, and this one is the biggest one. And I said, wait a minute, one, two, look at me, y'all. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh yeah, I gave them all to you. Okay, so the next one, the last one, the seventh one, and that is the reverent power. Referent power. And this is the power based on who you are. Oh my gosh, this one is the most powerful. And it is where you can convey personal acceptance and approval based on your authenticity, based on your humility, your integrity, and your positive qualities. And this one, you can, when you want to think about referent power, think about reverence, think about big movers, people who affect people, and one of the best compliments I got, it was a man trying to pick me up in the bank of all places, in the bank lobby. That's why you go to the drive-thru. But anyway, I, I was at the little counter filling out my deposit slip and everything, and this man looks at me from across. He's at the window. He looks at me from across the lobby, and he says, "I like your face." He said, "It makes me smile." I was just like, somebody come get their daddy. But anyway, it was wonderful, and I thought about it because all the other people in the lobby, they paused and they looked at him and they were like, "Oh, that is so cool." And his power just, now, no, I did not go out with that man, but it was a quick example of how just you being, because I don't think it was a pickup line. It was like he looked up, he saw me, and he said, "I like your face. It makes me smile." And it was so innocent and pure in the way he said it. And I was just like, okay. So I'm saying that to say you don't have to make trying to be referent really a big thing. It really is part of you. The kids would call it Riz. It's where you have charisma. All right. So now that I have told you what the 7 are, let's talk a little bit about each one of them, then I'll let you go on about your day. But I want you to first and foremost understand this, that most people are below understanding power, and they take for granted that they understand it, when at best they only understand 2. They only understand legitimate and coercive. They only understand a boss-employee relationship, or the man and me. And then they only understand, if I don't do this, then I'll be punished, but you need to move past that, because below power is money. And I'm not going to lump myself into that, because I'm about that. That is why I'm teaching you about power. But a lot of people are so busy with doing the business of surviving. And that's where money and trying to take care of yourself, I've talked about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and I'll put the little diagram here, where down here is where a lot of people are in the first 2 levels. And that's where it's basic needs, and then it's survival needs, and then basic. So survival is, you got to have air to breathe. You got to have shelter and food. And then above survival or basic needs, you need to have a way to have income. You need to have security, a way to protect yourself, whether it be from foes or from acts of God and the weather, and then you move up to the 3rd one, which is love and belonging. So in these first 3, actually, I said 2, but the first 3 levels, this is where you spend a lot of time trying to get your money. This is where, because money is really attached to a lot of this. It is when you get higher and you have secured a way to have income, consistent income that, helps you to meet those basic needs, that you start moving into the realm of power. But the thing is power is working on all of us. So it doesn't matter where you really are. You need to understand power. And by going through this, you're going to get to the point where, because you're now aware of it and you're going to start practicing it, say yes. Yes, Michelle, I am going to start practicing it. That you're going to start moving up to that level, because what you use is what you imbue. What you use is where you live. And when you start actively understanding power roles and respecting them, you're going to get to the point where you get to operate in more power. Okay, so one thing that just keeps coming back to me that I need to say, and being obedient to that, and that is understanding that there are power dynamics. And I am talking about the different types of power. This is, like I said, the primer introducing you to these powers. Power dynamics is well above that. So if that is something that you are wanting and needing, stick around. I am going to be doing a training on that, and I will be talking about 48 laws of power and some others. But one thing I will say about power dynamics, you must understand the flow of power. Okay, power is a top down. That's why in the lower levels of the pyramid that I showed you, the Maslow's hierarchy of need, these people are not considered powerful. These people are people who power is acted upon. And that is why, if you have someone who is perceived to be in the levels of power, they have a lot of power taken away from them because they can't punch down. I heard Michael Jackson in his This Is It documentary, he said something to someone, and I noticed he was very gracious. He needed them to correct the sound and the lighting wasn't right, and he said, "You all, we have to get this right." And he says, "Please, please," and he kept saying, "Please." And then I don't know if it was in the documentary or something else I watched, but he talked about. He said, "I can't have a bad day with someone. I can't say something that I really want to say out of anger or frustration because the impact of it is way more than if that person said the same thing back to me." And what he was describing are power dynamics. Okay. So I just want to put that little part in there that for the scope of this video, we're going to be just talking about the primer of understanding the powers. And then I'll do another one where we really kind of hash it up and get into the power dynamics. Okay. All right. So legitimate power. If you work for someone, you are very acquainted with legitimate power. It is the manager. It is the middle management. It is C-suite level. It is the CEO. It is legitimate power of somebody who has a hierarchy over you. Well, what does that look like in real life? Like I said before, it is usually determined by status. And every person, no matter the culture, the age, we're all working with status. And with legitimate power, this power, you can usually know when someone is affecting legitimate power. They'll put the letters behind their name. Y'all, I got a string of letters I could put behind my name, but I don't want to because I want to be freer to move past the first level of power. Because I don't want to manage anybody. I don't want someone looking at me to lead and guide them for their livelihood or any of those kinds of things. And sometimes you fall into legitimate power and you don't even realize it and wonder why you are worn out. You know, legitimate power, like I said before, is usually going to be a manager, a leader, someone like that. One of the things that trips a lot of people up, and the reason why I want you to listen, come back, listen. Don't turn me off when I'm talking good. A lot of you are in what is called de facto leadership, and you don't realize it. And because of that, the power is eating you up. You are the person who, even at your job, you're making sure everything gets done. At your house, when you're dealing with interpersonal, you're the one that once you come in and you finally say something, everybody settles down and gets back right. And that, excuse me, that's a lot of pressure, especially when you're not aware that that's the gig you're actually working. So with legitimate power, remember, this is where you're dealing with status. If someone sees you as their leader, they're going to, remember I said power works down and they're underneath you. So the people underneath you pull the power of the person above them. And when you don't understand that that's what's happening, it can mess you up. And you got to be careful because even if it's not where you got the certification or the title, you can still be that de facto leader. And to operate outside of that causes more harm for you and them. I don't care if you don't want to be the leader. If you are the leader, you're the leader. And to be able to make sure that you have a good life, understand the responsibility of the status you hold, as well as what people below you are going to do. One of the things that people lower than your power are going to do is they're going to talk bad about you. You're going to become the victim. Not the victim, excuse me. You're going to become the villain of everything. When's the last time you said something really good about your manager at work? Let's just be honest. Every time something is not going right, it's easier to vilify the manager and talk like they have 7 tails, on them than for people to just own it and be like, I don't like my job because I don't feel fulfilled. And it really doesn't have anything to do with my micromanaging, needling, manager. Now, yeah, they could be micromanaging you, but hey, in the grand scheme of things, it's kind of like people give themselves permission to punch up because they know power is not supposed to punch down. Okay. So let that marinate on you. Evaluate. Am I in de facto legitimate power of being a leader? My mom used to say something when we were growing up. She said, you can tell a true leader. She says a true leader is someone who, when they go off in a different direction, people follow them. Doesn't matter if the appointed leader is over here. If you go left, the appointed leader goes right, and people start going left, you're the de facto leader. So let me know about that because I'm pretty sure a lot of light bulbs just went off for folks of why their lives are just so hard. And it's about status. It's not about age. It's not even about how many letters you do have behind your name, because I know a lot of foolish and ignorant educated folk. So don't let that be something either. You can have someone who is self-taught, maybe didn't even make it through 6th grade, and they are the leader. And everybody is willing to listen to them, follow them. They want them to tell them what to do. Because let's face it, a large percentage of the world, they really just want someone to tell them what to do. They really do. Okay. So I've spent enough time on legitimate power. But understand that whether you want to or not, you have a responsibility with that because you have control over and you have a responsibility to lead those under you who have a lower status than you. Okay. So let's talk about this and let's get it out of the way. Coercive power. This is a power that when you have not done your emotional work, you will fall into. And the thing about coercive power is In the workforce, it's usually someone who has legitimate power who misuses it because they lead by threats, by force, they bully. But we all know coercive power that has nothing to do with the workplace. We know people who bully others just in life. We know people who try to lead you and impose on you by threat. We know those folks. And we also know that sometimes, like I said, it's bullying. But I do want to quickly hit on the dark side of this. And one, I think I am going to go on and do that one. I think I've earned the right, if you've been watching me, to put out this information I'm going to be talking about. So, stay tuned for that video where I'm going to be talking about information hazards and different types of personalities in that. But what I will say with coercive power, sometimes, they would lead you to believe that with bullying power, if you just stand up to them and the bully goes away. Well, sometimes that doesn't happen. And in those instances, you are dealing with people that are part of what is called the dark triad. And these are people who operate in Machiavellianism and psychopathy, as well as in narcissism. And that three-pronged cornucopia, if you will, of ill will is something that you're not ready for, because they can continue. For as much as you push back, they got another way. If you think you got the victory, honey, they are winning the war. So just be mindful that coercive power is out there. And if you are someone who does this, stop it. One of the areas that you can find coercive power run amok is in the parent-child relationship. If you are a parent who the only way you think you can, and I hesitate to say this, but it needs saying, you need to really sit with this. If the only way you can interact with your child, whether they are a kid or an adult, is by threatening them and forcing them and talking down to them and trying to use, pull rank on them all the time, please go through and evaluate. Am I using coercive power? Because one thing about coercive power, it has a recoil on it. Oh my God. Oh, karma. She might not know your name, but she never forget your address. Be careful, because coercive power comes back on you. Bullies, bad managers, people who are mean to people because they have a little more pull, they get their comeuppance really, really sooner or later, but these days sooner. So this is from your big sis. Stop it. That is a power that you don't want any parts of. Don't do it. Don't do it. I'm not going to spend more time on it because to me it's self-explanatory. But I do want you to look at your relationships. Are you pulling rank on people? Are you lording over them that you have more than them and you want to keep them in line if they ever want to continue with getting the benefits of being around you? Are you a person who has a little more money than your friends or your family and you make them jump through hoops and you talk to them any kind of way because you think that they're going to get in line because they don't want to mess with you because the next time they need you? Don't do that. Don't do that. It puts you in a low vibrational state where you will lose even that power that you think you have. Trust me. All right, let's move to the next one. The next one is going to be that expert power. And the expert power is one that I used to lust after. It was part of my unworthiness where I always felt like I had to know more. I was not even willing to give an opinion unless I could cite sources and all this kind of stuff. And it was hard because I thought that having letters before or after my name would make me something. And I didn't realize at that time that expert power is a never-ending treadmill, because when you have perceived skills that people look up to, those skills must constantly be maintained, renewed, upgraded, and you never, ever get to the point where you can just rest on your laurels. And it's obvious. Look at experts who do not keep up with their skills. They can quickly expose that fact, and then they become a hack. Think of a doctor that you can say, like, oh, they are out of, they have not kept up with the times. They still talking old 1940s stuff that doesn't work anymore. It is because expert power requires that you continuously keep it up to date. And in that, it is continuously people pleasing, because you thrive. Your power is derived by how other people perceive you. When's the last time you had somebody that said, oh, I'm an expert, and just because I said it is so? Experts are constantly having to prove themselves. And if you are out here as one of my fellow content creators, digital marketers, people who make money online, this one is for you. Get out of this trap. You can tell when you are courting and lusting for expert power, when you are constantly trying to find the testimonials and the evidence and the proof and okay, I did this, so this makes me worthy. You know what? The fact that you are living and breathing, you are sane, and you are not trying to cause people harm, that should be enough. If you are trying to teach someone something, it should be enough to be like, look, I had this little success here, and I'm just telling you. I can't promise you that you're going to make a gajillion dollars, but this is what I did, and this little thing worked for me. If you want to rock with me on this little thing, come on, let's do it. That is way better than trying to get, and I have actually known people who will go and fake screenshots to say that they are something that they are not. That is the dog. That is the tail wagging the dog. That is getting things backwards. That is not a good place to be. And that's a slippery slope, because, people think of expert power and they think it's innocuous. They think it's harmless. It's one of the scariest ones, right up there with coercive power, that will get you into a bad situation. There's this young lady that I'm going to maybe react to this, and she talks about how glowing up ruined her life. And when you look at it, she thought she was trying to do one thing where she was actually chasing expert power. And I'm going to be doing a take on that if I can remember to do it, because I've been meaning to do it. But that will be like a love letter to my little young ones out here who are coming up, my 17, 18, 16, 18-year olds that don't understand that there are traps out there that Big Sis Michelle has been through and can highlight and help you to not make those. So anyway, but expert power, be mindful that it is a treadmill to nowhere that will just continuously put you into a state of unworthiness, because you're only as good as your ability to hit home runs at the plate every time, to have all this evidence and all of these things. There is a time for being an expert, but it should not be the prolonged way you get power out of life. All right. Let's move on to the next one. Thank you for sticking with me this long. I appreciate this. And like I said, this is me just trying to put you on game, because the more you understand these powers and start operating in them, the more your life in these first three rungs of survival, whether it be basic, whether it be security or love and belonging, powers and understanding these upper ones, they push down and they bring up. Okay, so stick with me. So the next one we have is information. This is the one I call this the fool out of all of the powers. This is the person who gatekeeps. This is the person who is so afraid of letting you know their ideas, letting you know the information, the insider knowledge that they have, that they think that because they have this information, that it gives them power. Maybe temporarily, but it's like dust and it's like smoke. It is fleeting. It's like trying to go out and box with the wind. It doesn't happen. So information power has been duping people for years. You know that person at your job where they have this one spreadsheet that they generate and they don't want anybody to get the information or access to the information. They have to go through them because they believe that if you need them for that information, that they have power. When they're not powerful, they are a bottleneck. They are a clog in the system. They are a way for management, if they're doing their real job, to identify them and get them out of there, because they're slowing down progress and change. So don't be tricked. Yes, you will have information. But one thing about information, and I learned this from doing courses for years and trainings, and that is what's new today becomes old tomorrow. And information ages like a cut avocado. It is not long lasting. And that means that you continuously have to go learn new information to hoard it and all this kind of stuff. That is why I think one of the best uses of informational power is to be an information broker. And that information broker is not even in informational power. They live in the area of connection that we're going to talk about coming up. So if you are big up in yourself because you know something that everybody else doesn't, you're setting yourself up to be the fool, to be played the fool. So don't do that. Just like expert is a trap, informational power is a trap, and it has its time, but it is only needed temporarily. Okay. And if I'll try to see, no, I don't, my editing skills are not that good, but there's this guy who, it's a little YouTube short. Maybe I can find the short and put the link in the description. But he's having this conversation with this lady, and she's talking about her business. And she tells him what she does. And he says, "You don't have a business." And she says, "What? No, says who?" He says, "Says me." And he doesn't use the words of that you're trying to use informational power. What he says is she offers some kind of information to school students and everything. And he says, as soon as the school figures out how to teach this to their children outside of you, you are going to be out of business. He says, you don't have a business. And I was like, informational power. She got duped because she thought that she, had the whatever. And that is a trap of course, content creators, where they focus more on the information and less on the transformation of the student. Don't be so locked into your information. Understand what you're really doing. You're taking a person from point A to point B. So don't do that. Okay. All right. So the next one, and let me know, is this helping you? Is this scratching where you're itching? Because I really want to make sure that I am giving you highly useful information. I must be useful because you see what they pay to help. Okay. So the next one is reward. Now, reward is, it is what people always want out of their higher ups. They want people to reward them. The reward power is a power that has access to resources. It is unlike the connection where it's usually collaborative. The rewards come from somebody higher up. So it's going to be the wealthy person who has a benevolence fund. It's going to be a charity. It's going to be a manager who can, with a flick of a pen and a number on a evaluation, give or take away what you get in your salary and your bonuses. And so reward power is very transactional. Reward power is outside of relationship. And that's another reason why it's not connection power, because connection power is relationship driven, where reward power is transactional. Reward power is you do this, I give you that. And let me just be honest out here. There's a lot of women that think they are in a relationship and they are in the receiver end of a reward power. I'm telling you, the reward power is can be connected to ego. And once the reward power doesn't get their ego stoked like they used to when they give you something, they're ready to turn you in and get a new model. So wink, wink for my figurative people out there who can read between the lines. that one's for you. All right. So, but with reward power, it is all about somebody being able to bestow something on them. They're able to give you a bonus, a reward. They're able to give you money. They're able to give you access to stuff. But remember, they who giveth can also taketh away. And if you are the person who relishes or currently has reward power, understand that the trappings of success in this reward means that you're the one that get the arrows in the back, because people who are underneath you can quickly learn to despise you. Even if you're constantly giving, they will despise you, because there's something about when you take someone's ability to get for themselves at strategic times, they despise you. And it doesn't even make sense to them. They cuckoo. But the people who have this reward power must use it strategically, and in some cases sparingly. Let it be not the norm. Let it be a special occasion where you exert this reward power. Yeah, it might feel good to you when you're giving to somebody, but if you're giving too much, they'll either learn to expect it and despise you, or they'll just outright despise you. They'll take it begrudgingly, but they'll never want to talk to you again. They'll never want to have anything. And that brings me to ask you this question. Think about those people that you helped, and now y'all hardly talk. They avoid you like the plague. It might be that reward power was in effect, and you didn't understand how to make it work for both of your benefits. Because the thing about reward power, it demands an answer where the other person is able to reward back. It might not be in kind, but they need to feel some kind of reward in the transaction as well. Remember, this is a transactional relationship. You do this, I do that. If you're doing this and they don't feel like they're doing that, they'll start to avoid you, stop talking to you, disappear, and those types of things. All right. And for somebody, I just heard a click go off for you, that's explaining the relationship you had. So fix that relationship. You might want to stop being in a reward power in that setting and bring it back down to relationship. Okay. Just an aside. Okay. Side quest done. Let's get back. All right. Now we're down to my two favorites. And that next one is connection. Connection is like the Godfather. Clarence Avant was in the music and then in the entertainment and political industries for years until he just recently passed away. And he was called the Black Godfather of Hollywood. And Clarence was behind Live Aid, helping to put that together, and some other big things. And Clarence didn't have a lot of money, but what Clarence did was he had superb, exceptional connection power. And his connection power was a launch to get him into referent power. Okay, so with connection power, it is all about who you know, what you have access to. You are a curator and a collector of things. The fictitious Godfather was a collector of favors, and so he had strong connection power. One of the most powerful people in most of the world is someone that people don't realize. They usually get the names of broker, middleman, liaison. These are very powerful people, because these are the people who are the connectors from the highly powerful up here to the everyday down here. These are the people who are the movers and shakers. They are the people who cause the friction wheels to turn to get people from here to there. And that connection power is a beautiful thing. And the reason why I say it is because if you do connection power wrong, you fall back into reward power or informational power. But if you do connection power right, you will retain that power and you will advance up into the referent power. Connection power can be built by making sure that you show people reverence when you talk with them and you interact with them. I've already told you in many of my videos that one of the ways to be likable is to not make it all about you and to become a magnificence hunter, where you search for the magnificence in someone and you plow it up and you cultivate it. And it's a win-win for you and them, because that person becomes very interesting interesting to you. And then that person becomes interested in you. Okay. So magnificence, honey. And this is what connectors do unawares. They are really honestly and authentically interested in the people that they deal with. And folks know it, because you can't fake it. You can't fake liking someone. You can't fake being interested, because energy don't lie, baby. Energy don't lie. All right. So let's talk about my last favorite one. Oh my gosh. Referent power. So referent power is about the charisma. It is about high likability. It is about wisdom. Referent power is the highest form of power, because it can be altruistic, where it's not trying to get anything from you. Referent power is a global power, whereas legitimate power is a baseline, low hanging fruit, power. It is the power that it's exponential. It becomes bigger and bigger and bigger. And you can tell reverent power because reverent power has legacy to it. When you think of powerful people that had reverent power, they usually have history books written about them. And they are known for their personality traits. And I'm telling you, personality is something that is quick to go away when you pass away. People a lot of times will just remember you for what you did. But when you have reverent power, people will remember you for who you were. Oh, yes. And so reverent power is based in this ability to be charismatic. It is where you have a positive quality to you. You have integrity. You have an ability to reach many people because of all these positive attributes that you have. You become a star because people are drawn to your power. It's funny that a lot of quote unquote stars want to have reverent power, but they don't. And that's why they're constantly backbiting and trying to stay in the public eye, manufacturing stories to be written about them because they're not reverent. The reverends are the true stars. They are the true celebrities, the celestial beings that the masses aspire to gaze at and to be in awe of. And so reverent power, it takes work. It's not just given. It requires that you understand all the other powers, because you only get and retain reverent power when you understand how not to be any of the others except for connection. Okay. And so with that, I want you to go out. Now, this is my little homework for you. I want you to go out and I want you to identify 3 powers working in your life. Once you've identified 3 of these powers working in your life, either on you or through you, I want you to start working on getting to a higher power. Hopefully you can get to connection power. And because connection power is one of the shortest pathways to get to reverent power, because when you get to connection power, it's a win-win for everybody. And if we have more powerful connectors out there, the world will be a better place. So now this is how you can start doing your connection power. That is by liking and subscribing, going on and clicking and watching this next video that's going to continue to help you on your brilliant quest. And let me know you're out there. And so this is, guess what? Michelle, your big sis with Brilliant Quest. I am going to see you way sooner than later. So have a great rest of your day. Go out there, be powerful, but in the right way. Bye.